So, I've been seeing the term accelerationism being thrown around on the Twitter sphere and on the internet in general in the wake of the New Zealand attacks, because the shooter mentioned the term accelerationism in his manifesto. So, I've seen a lot of people, including that shooter, misusing this term and not really understanding what it means. So I thought I'd go into the background and the general properties of what is accelerationism. The first thing to understand is that accelerationism is kind of a Marxist ideology at heart. This doesn't mean the shooter was a leftist, by the way. As I said before, he doesn't understand he just used the word without really understanding what it means.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Unlike many political ideologies that we might think of these days, it's not necessarily a praxis-based ideology. It's rather just a way of analyzing the world. So key to this is Marx. Money is turned into a commodity, which turns into money plus profit. The little tick means profit, and the eternally ongoing process of capital is you get profit, and then that feeds into itself back into a commodity, which is fed back into profit, and circles and circles and circles, accelerating as it goes. At the heart of capitalism is a series of positive feedback loops like this, and because of this, as you feed back on yourself, the cycle accelerates and accelerates and eventually becomes unsustainable and collapses. However, the theory of accelerationism was first really solidified by a group of people called the CCRU in Warwick University in the UK in the 90s. CCRU stands for the Cybernetic Culture Research Unit. Now, some people you may have heard of who were involved with this, Nick Land, who went on to become a bit of an insane right-wing philosopher who now lives in China, and he takes a lot of amphetamine.
Time compression device.
So maybe he's a little nuts. I'm not gonna lie, he's a little nuts. So yeah. Also Sadie Plant, who pretty much invented cyberfeminism, and most interestingly to me at least, as someone with a music background, is Code 9, aka the guy who made the label Hyperdub, which you may recognize as that little watermark that is in the corner of Burial albums and a bunch of other great electronic music albums. In fact, Hyperdub's generally an incredibly well respected record label, pioneering in many genres like old school dubstep and drum and bass and that sort of stuff. The CCRU essentially propose a very simple idea that
Marxist economics.
This will lead to capitalism's eventual collapse, but the way they do it is not exactly simple. So, if you read anything by the CCRU, particularly Nick Land, who's probably the most famous member of this group that may or may not have ever existed, you'll find it's incredibly esoteric. I tried to read this book right here. I still have it somewhere, can't find it, otherwise I would have just picked it up in this video. It's kind of nonsense. There's a lot of talk about time-traveling lemurs and secret organizations.
The account that follows charts William S. Burroughs' involvement in an occult time war, and considerably exceeds most accepted conceptions of social and historical probability. It is based on sensitive information passed to crew by an intelligence source whom we have called William K.
So what is the point of accelerationism? Well, as I said, unlike other ideologies, accelerationism works on a system of anti-praxis rather than praxis. Praxis is when you do things to further your ideology, essentially. Like Marxist praxis is very easy. You go and make a union, or get rid of your landlord, or make a commune, that sort of thing. But accelerationism is specifically and vehemently anti-praxis. It's more of just a way of analysing the world rather than saying we should accelerate culture. It's just saying culture is accelerating. The reason for this is it's at this point so fast that by the time you took action, it will have already accelerated past that point. This is why the New Zealand shooter didn't really understand what he was talking about when he said accelerationism. Because the way the word accelerationism is often used is that we should accelerate things to become more shit so that it will collapse and we can start again. This was never said by any theorist who has had anything to do with accelerationism ever. There are three main branches of accelerationist theory, but it gets very complicated and bogged down in labels. Essentially, you have left accelerationism, right accelerationism, and unconditional accelerationism. These are very complicated. There's a lot of books about this sort of things. I'll just, instead of explaining it to you, because this is a YouTube video and I'm going to be honest, I don't understand a lot of this stuff myself. I'm only on the surface of this stuff, but I'll leave a bunch of resources in the description that you can read, a bunch of handy stuff, especially this article on anti-praxis, which is really good if you want to understand that concept more. It's good. So a lot of people involved in politics use this word accelerationism in a way that it was never really intended to be used, and it doesn't really mean what they think it means. But if everyone uses a word to mean a specific thing, does it really matter what its original definition was?